Here's the good news when it comes to his tactics. There's nothing new under the sun. Satan's strategy has not changed since this time in the garden. He's still working just the same, and unfortunately it's still working, and it leads people astray. So what are his tactics? What are the tactics of the enemy? What's his first move? Well, first, he gets us to question God's word. Has God indeed said? Has he really said that? You see, Satan wants to sow doubt in our understanding of the clear revelation of God's word. Satan essentially does this, and this is my next point for you. He puts a question mark where God has put an exclamation point. He puts a question mark where God has put an exclamation point. He makes us doubt. He makes us hesitate. He makes us rethink about whether God's word is actually true, whether it's good, whether it's sufficient. So he gets us to question God's word. He wants to sow that seed of doubt. Are you sure that's what he said? And next, he wants to make God seem really restrictive. He twists the truth to make it seem like God is holding something back from us. He wants people to think that there's something good for us that God doesn't want us to have. He makes God out to be this restrictive, unreasonable tyrant. And isn't this the very foundation of satanic thought? That God is an oppressor? Isn't that the most common lie about God? That his word enslaves? That his commands are keeping us from our full potential? This is essentially the lie of all Luciferian doctrine. You see, this is the philosophy behind atheism and secular humanism and self-exaltation and satanic deception. Aleister Crowley, for example, a famous occultist, he built his entire life on this motto: do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Do what you want. That's the only rule. Don't be burdened by any sort of moral restraint. Do what feels good. You know what it is? It's follow your heart. Do whatever feels good. Now, just so you know, this we might not hear that phrase, do what thou wilt will be the whole of the law. Often today, we just hear it repackaged and fed to a whole new generation in different ways. Now it's called YOLO. You only live once. Live for yourself. Follow your truth. Break the chains of religion. Don't let anyone tell you what to do. Live for your own purpose. Do what feels good. Follow your heart. Don't be constrained by some kind of moral teaching that wants to hold you back from all the pleasure that you can have if you just break free from the chains of religion. But listen to me. Don't be fooled. This is the same demonic deception that we find here in Genesis chapter 3. It's that same lie. God's holding you back. It's the lie of Satan that tells us that true freedom is found in rebellion. Satan wants us to believe that true freedom is found in rebellion. Satan gets us to question God's word. He gets us to look at God and his commandments as something restrictive. But look at what else he does. He lies about the consequences of sin. He tells them, you're not going to surely die. You see, Satan makes sin seem very harmless. He makes rebellion seem safe. He whispers, don't worry about judgment. There's no consequences. You're not going to pay for this. God's just trying to scare you. And you know what? Our world believes him. Sin is treated as harmless fun. Holiness is seen as bondage. The fear of the Lord is mocked as weakness. He offers us a free pass to rebel and face no consequences. But he really is setting before us a trap. He's setting before us a trap. In this passage, he's not just denying the consequences. He offers false promises. He says, you're going to be like God. And that's the fourth tactic. He gets us to question God's word. He makes God out to seem restrictive. He promises, he denies the consequences of sin, and he also offers us these false promises. You're going to be like God. He says that God knows that in the day that you eat of it, your eyes will be open and you'll be like God. See, God's trying to hold you back. Here's how he hooks us. He hooks us through the promise of exaltation. Now, this should warn us about the crafty and deceptive motive of self-exaltation. Satan is essentially saying to Eve this. He's saying, Eve, don't you see? God is keeping you from something better. Eve, you could be so much more. You could be like God. Isn't this the heart of all sin? Pride, selfish ambition, exalting ourselves instead of glorifying God. You see, Satan offers false empowerment and false enlightenment.